Hi, welcome to the video. We're going to talk a little bit now about the hypothetical blockchain supply chain application that is used to track shipments as they move from a factory right through to a destination port onwards to the person who ordered the shipment. So first we're going to do is we're going to look at this little workflow that shows the shipping route. And you can see that there's a couple of different organizations here. And one of the things about Hyperledger is that it's really a permissioned private blockchain that allows different consortiums of organizations to come together and interact on a shared public ledger state. So in this example, we've got a couple of different organizations. We've got Asia Tech, who are the manufacturers of the consignment that we're going to be shipping. And we've got Shenzhen Shipping, who are responsible for the whole shipping pipeline. And then we've got Europe Audiovisual, who are the people who ordered the consignment of stock from Asia Tech. And essentially you can see the different workflow that we go through. There's multiple different logical states that the shipment can be in, and each of these interactions is a call to the smart contract that updates some state. So that's a very high level overview of what the execution path is for the smart contract and what who the different parties are and how they interact with it. The next thing we're going to quickly do is we're going to just look at some of the actual code itself. So within our application, we're using the kind of a sample project from Hyperledger as a baseline, and then we're going to we've built it on top of it and we've customized it to do the certain things that we need. So what we've got here is we've got a couple of different organizations within our application. We've got the smart contract then that has the actual object that is the shipping log is what we've called it, and it's got a bunch of different properties. So all the different metadata about the object. We've got all the getters and setters that allow us to update that object, and then we've got all the different states that object can be in. So as a shipment moves from the factory all the way to the destination, as we saw in our previous diagram, here's the kind of code representation of that. And on the right hand side here, you can see the actual smart contract functions that we call, and these are wrote in JavaScript, and they get deployed as chain code on the Hyperledger blockchain network. So it's very useful because we can write application code smart contracts in common languages like JavaScript or Golang or Java. As you can see here, we've got all these different functions that are called throughout the application, and these mirror onto the different stages that we've got. And they all require different data to be submitted from the external party. So that's a quick overview of the contract and the workflow. We're going to quickly just look at some of the other pieces of the application. So because we've got multiple different orgs, they've all got a different application that looks at different parts of the platform. So as we saw in our workflow diagram, Shenzhen Shipping Company has quite a few more steps that they do over Asia Tech. So if we were to look into our Shenzhen Shipping application, it's just another Node.js application. Within there, we've got the application logic, and what we've done is we've built a server, and we've built the transaction manager, and the server can accept requests from the front end that we're going to show in a few minutes, and then it processes those requests and it dispatches events to the smart contract and to the blockchain network. So within our server, we've got the ability to listen for various different events as issued by the front end, and then we'll handle that message and we'll call the transaction manager, and the transaction manager is capable of submitting all of these different blockchain transactions with the required data. So that's a very high level overview of the server and how it interacts with the front end. And the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to look at the actual user using the system. So what we've done is we've deployed our chain code. You can see that we've got various different Docker containers running for our Hyperledger network. We've got the chain code for each of our organizations and all of the relevant components. We've got a monitoring log here so we can see exactly what's going on. And we started up our client applications for Asia Tech and for Shenzhen Shipping. So we're now going to use the user interface to interact with this smart contract and do a shipment as described in this diagram from start to finish. So first things first, we're going to load up our web app. For simplicity for this project, we've put all of the two different server applications talking to the same client interface just for simplicity, but essentially they're two independent applications and they talk to the smart contract in independent reasons. Also for brevity for the demo, we've pre-filled a lot of the fields, but there'll be some fields that we'll enter data into as we progress. So The idea is that we're creating a shipment. This is the Asia Tech organization, and they're in their create shipment flow. And what they want to do is they want to create a shipment of goods that we're going to send to Europe Audiovisual. So Europe Audiovisual are going to get a consignment of data. They're getting 565-inch TVs, and they're going to cost 80,000 euros. And the shipping cost is going to cost 6,000 euro. And at this point, if we were to go back to our diagram, they're leaving the factory. So they've created the shipment. They're about to export it for shipping. So so shipment is out for delivery. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create our shipment, and this has gone onto the blockchain. So as you can see here, we've submitted our transaction to the blockchain. It's gone off and it's pushed onto the network. And the next thing we've done is we've retrieved that record, and we can see that our consignment has been shipped to all these people, and it's been sent out to the blockchain for viewing. And each of the stages as we go through this flow, we're going to update our remarks section here, which basically show us the different remarks that each of the intermediary steps has added to our record. So that's pretty much all is required to create a shipment. And then we've got the first few steps of our workflow, as we saw in our diagram, is Asia Tech actually sending the goods out for delivery. So at the moment, they've just dispatched the invoice, they've created the record, and now they're going to do the export process. So as you can see, we're in stage one where we're transmitting the shipment to the port. So that's all good. So the goods have arrived. So at the port, so the goods have arrived at the port. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to process them to the export customs section. So at this point, the customs authority are taking over under the guise of Asia Tech. So items are good for export. And at this point, they're going to ship the details. And as you can see here, the blockchain network is progressing. We've sent all of these transactions to our Hyperledger network. And at this point, Asia Tech have finished their part of the process. So the goods are shipped, they're ready to be shipped, and they're out of their hands, they've done all of their parts. And the next thing we're going to be doing is moving over to Shenzhen Shipping, who are going to be responsible for the shipping of the goods all the way from the departure port all the way to the customer. So in this step, we're going to move to our second app. And this is actually calling a totally different application in the background. And you can see here that the next step is loading onto the cargo ship. So loading goods onto cargo ship. Shenzhen Shipping is the intermediary. They're going to be updating the blockchain. We're in the transit phase now. So this is when the ship is actually sailing. So the goods are in transit. The process is going. We're at the unloading stage. So the goods are getting taken off the ship at the destination port. And each of these steps we could have added a lot more kind of time delays or whatever, but for this is for brevity. So at customs, so the goods have arrived at the destination port, and now we're at the point where there's some duties that need to be paid. So there's import tax. So let's say there's 687 euros worth of import tax. Pretty cheap for 500 televisions, but let's go with it. So we pay the import tax. At this point, we could do some automatic smart contract paying when the duties are to be paid and calculated. And at this point now, we're going to load the goods after they've come off the port. We're going to send them now to the to dispatch them for delivery. So this is on the ground transport leaving the port. Shenzhen Shipping are still responsible for this, and they're going to send it to the goods. So out for delivery. So at this point now, the goods are out for delivery. Again, we're traversing through the state that we saw in our smart contract earlier. And in the background, we're updating our state object all the time. So at this point now, we're going to unload the goods at the destination. So this is at Europe Audiovisual's warehouse. So, and now they're handing over the goods to Europe So now you can see that Europe Audiovisual have got shipment complete. If we were to look at our smart contract data, you can see that the last kind of method that we passed was that the shipping is successful. And this is all updated on the blockchain. And then if we were to actually view our shipments, we can see that our invoice has now been updated with all of the remarks from all of the steps that we went through. And if we were to go back to our blockchain data, we can see that each of these steps has been processed. So on the right-hand side here is Asia Tech, who originally sent out the thing for dispatch, and on the left-hand side here, or sorry, on the left-hand side is Asia Tech, who delivered it, and on the right-hand side you can see all of the consignment processed and delivered messages. So that's pretty much it for the demo. Like I said, we've talked through a whole lot of things. Hyperledger is a very interesting network. There's a lot of different components. As you can see here, we've only got 3 orgs, and it's quite complicated. There's quite a lot of different services, a lot of Docker containers, a lot of smart contracts, there's a lot of code. And the best way we could visualize this was to build out our timeline of all the different smart contract interactions and how we hand over the shipment from one to the other. And then the best way to do that was to visualize, that we've gone to export. So, Asia Tech is finished with exportation, and likewise for the shipping progress for the shipping manager. So, I can't go back here. It's always it's rendered off the latest smart contract data, and so on and so forth. So thanks for watching the video. Goodbye.